Ready to rock.
And now for something completely different.
Good evening, Keepers of the Cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and welcome to the world of internet problems. All right, just before live, everything went kablooey on my end. I blame Rob and Adam for just being too awesome for the internet, and they crashed
Correct.
the whole thing.
The
Facts.
mustache requires
Facts.
much bandwidth.
Yes, sir.
I apologize for the delays, though, to my co-host, my guests, and to the audience. But we're going to get this thing rolling. My co-host, as always, on a Tuesday, and on the opposite side of me today is Rob, Fat Stax of Comics. Good evening, sir.
Hi, how are you? From the world where internet works.
Right. Just banging away at the cave here, trying to make sure the signal doesn't go down again. And our guest of the hour, and I'm going to guess we're going to see some Image books this evening, so I'm going to see if I'm right.
I'm looking at my stack, man. I don't think there's a single one, so we'll see.
Mr. Adam Derrz from Collecting with Derrz. Adam, how you doing tonight, sir?
Good, man. Hopefully your internet figures itself out, and if not, man, we're still rocking. So
That's right. And we'll say a quick hi to the audience, and then we'll get right back to you. So, in first, as always, Las Cruces. Good evening, sir. Thank you for hanging around. Brian LCS, how you doing? Chris from Retro Rocket. You know, Rob, I got to get one of those Retro Rocket things so we can put him up and advertise him.
But he's not really your LCS, so.
He's not, but we can still shout him
Yeah,
out.
that's true. That
Collecting with Derrz, obviously,
he was running on his merch store. He was running a special today, 25% off Retro Rocket Comics gear.
nice.
There you go. Tony from the Comiverse. Good evening, Tony. Tony just released a new video the other day I got to catch up on. Switch Comics. Good evening, Marco. Nice to see you, sir. Actual Van Helsing. Look, when you become actual Renfield, I want to hear about it.
He's already done that too, actually.
Scotty, how you doing, sir? Nice to see you. And Matt Woods, how you doing, sir? And we are getting through. And again, I apologize for the delay, guys, but we are through it. DJ Links, good to see you, buddy.
Hey.
Welcome in. Couching and Slouching with C. Bizzle. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. And One Shot Comics. Never #NeverEnoughNicks. Good evening, Nicholas. Good evening, Naman. Katie. Good evening, Katie. How you doing? And CJ Design. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you. All right, and with that, we are, for the moment, I believe, caught up with the chat. And we are going to skip back over to you, Adam. And this show I love because, unlike a straight interview show, we get to see a side of you that's just based on things that you love. And it's just a fun side to see of people. And Champ Blaze, good evening. And so we're going to start out. And we'll let you give a quick blurb of who you are, what your channel's about, and then we'll get to your first book, sir. So the table is yours.
Cool. So I 100% agree with the way you started out because sometimes people bring super banger books. Sometimes people bring books they just cherish and love. Shows like this are always a great way to just show off the passion and soul of the community. So my name's Adam, Collecting with Derrz. I think I'm the youngest dude kind of in the community around here, kind of in the clique that we have. But I'm newer. I've only been collecting seriously since the kind of the beginning of COVID. But I've always been a nerd. I've always been into the culture. I was a 90s kid, so I collected comics and all that stuff as a kid. But as I grew older, I kind of fell out of it. And then once COVID hit and I didn't have anything to do, boom, my whole passion for comics and everything started. And I kind of come from kind of a dark place and with depression and anxiety and stuff in the past few years. So I really try and promote a lot of positivity on my channel and trying to kind of be upbeat and positive as I can. Even if I'm having a stressful day or things are going bad, I still try and find the bright side of things. So I try and always keep it positive for sure.
Always look on the bright side.
Right.
Right.
Well, speaking of
I can't whistle. I can't sing, so never mind.
I can't whistle either.
Yeah, that's three of us now. Three of us who can't whistle on the show.
This could become the worst show ever. Everybody let's try to whistle together, and
I can't even do it. Can't even do it with my fingers or anything, man.
Yep, and I'm not a snapper either. Barely.
I can snap. I can snap all day. I can do that.
Now, let's see your first book, Adam, and we'll get right into it, sir.
Cool. So I kind of themed my thing with a timeline of no, you'll be surprised. Like I said, it's going to be a timeline of my collecting and how I was introduced in comics. So I have two books. My first two books I have are the only books I have from my original collecting and original childhood. And this is the first book I ever bought on the shelf was the Spawn number 39. This was the first one I seen on the shelf, and this was instantly I gravitated towards it. It was around the holiday time. I've told this before a couple times when a lot of my friends were collecting like reading Superman and SpiderMan and stuff like that. And I was kind of always the misfit kind of black sheep kid. So I didn't want to just jump into something that everybody else was kind of reading or doing. So as soon as I seen that artwork and as soon as I seen that cover and started flipping through the pages, that book I bought, and it has stuck with me forever. And I took all my books that I could out of the Mylar bag so they show a little bit better.
Nice. And that's always a fun one because that's like Santa on his worst day, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All spawned out. Got to fight the demons of hell. Got to deliver toys to the kitties still.
Yes,
all
yes,
right.
sir. Yes,
Number
sir. Number two, and Rob, you were correct, is Spawn number 1. But for, again, a reason, I have the slab I just picked up, the 9.4. But a lot of people that don't know, like, I'm a huge Spawn guy. That's going to be always my passion. Anytime I'm anywhere, I'm always going to be hyping up Spawn anytime. But if I can get to this page. So, yeah, the color bleed. So not a lot of people know, but this one is actually the color bleed one. So this is supposed to be all blacked in and everything. And I bought this off the rack as a kid, Spawn number 1. After I read 39, I read, I think, probably 10 or 15 issues before going back and originally buying that one. So again, Spawn number 1, classic. It's always going to be the franchise for my channel.
Nice. Now, when you read that, what blew you away about Spawn in general? What connected you so heavily to the character?
The horror, the horror aspect, because as a kid, I was watching Freddy, Jason, Killer Clowns, Michael Myers, all of that stuff when everybody else should have been watching cartoons. I mean, I'm not a violent kid or into violence or anything. I just loved like Halloween time and being scared. I loved all that stuff. So I instantly gravitated towards it. So once I started reading that, like I said, a lot of Spider-Man, a lot of Superman was out on the racks, and that was, not really violent enough for me. So Spawn instantly gravitated towards me. So like I was a kid playing original Doom and like Wolfenstein and stuff like that. As a kid, I was into a lot of the shock value type stuff.
So the Image stuff did well for you because they had a lot of that with Wetworks and
all across the board.
Shadowhawk and
right, they went the opposite direction of
Savage Dragon and all that.
Themselves.
Yeah,
I was always into horror too, Adam, so I can connect with that. I've loved horror since I was a little kid.
Took a beating.
Things probably like I'm not. I don't let my son watch everything. I always monitor stuff, but again, I was like 6 or 7 playing some of these games or reading some of these books that I probably shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, that's what turned me into who I am today. So.
And even my kid, he's 12, but his favorite horror movie is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Love it. That's one of my top favorite horror movies. I love all the cheesy stuff. I got the clown mask in the closet.
To see, you know how they have the events, the Fathom event films, and they'll show
all the old ones.
Yeah, I took him to see John Carpenter's The Thing there, and it was the first time I had actually seen it in the theater as well. So that was
nice. I was just me and my girlfriend just watched because the new one, from 2011, not anything on the original, but the newer remake was still awesome, and we just watched it.
It gets a bad rap, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I love.
It's a fun movie.
I'm a sucker for good CGI and good special effects.
And I just like a creature. All right, number 3, sir.
So once I started reading Spawn in a little bit. Again, everybody was reading Spider-Man, stuff like that. And as a 90s kid, I wanted to kind of stick out and read something different. So shout out to Rob. So Spider-Man 2099. First
We
one
all
with the
got
new
one of those at least in our collection, right?
with the newsy. I have my thing is shout out to Comics by the Bay. He's kind of doing the same thing. I'm just getting like the 1 through 10s for like Doom 2099, Spider-Man 2099, Ravage 2099 across the board, and I'm almost done with all of them. I need a couple more Ravage ones, but for me, Spider-Man 2099 Miguel is always iconic. He's always been my favorite, next to Miles, and then of course you're gonna hate this, but I love the whole Clone Sagas thing too. So I love. I didn't really like the story, but I love the Scarlet Spider suit.
Well, look, I can appreciate some of the innovations that were done with Scarlet Spider, with impact webbing and some of the other stuff that was done. And I don't completely dislike Ben Reilly as a character, but the whole maximum clonage stuff where it just got out of hand was what had, because I didn't mind the clone story when it started, but when it went to maximum clonage and it just got out of hand, that was just it. I walked away from comics for years. I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just absolute garbage. But hey, you had some good stuff there with that. The hardest thing about trying to do what you're doing with those first 10 on some of those books isn't the price, because the price is inexpensive on the books. Is finding the books, because if you're going to cons and stuff, people aren't bringing issues 2 through anything of Ravage 2099. They might bring an issue 1 or just something just because it's the number 1, but the rest of them, and either that or you just got to dig through 50-cent bins and whatnot. That's the only you're gonna find them.
And I'm a hunter and a digger, so I'm always end of April's flea market season in Ohio, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, I mean,
but those first ones are tough too. They're usually nicked.
Yeah, I mean, I recently was at a con where I did pick up several, like the Dooms, and the Spider-Mans are easy to find. The Doom's not too bad.
A little bit more obscure.
The Punishers are probably the next hardest on the tier to find, and then
Hulk,
after that,
Hulk 2099 stuff like
the
that.
Hulks and Ravage and Ghost Riders. No, and the X-Men 2099, they're also somewhat.
I never see Ghost Rider 2099. Now that I come to think of it.
Yeah, no, it's like it's Gary had to get me my first copy of number 1 on it, because it was extremely. I don't see it all that often.
Matt was trolling you a little bit. What did Rob just say? There was garbage comics written in just 1 or 2. That's
it's true.
Just 1 or 2.
It's true. It's damn true.
I never speak about the Clone Saga because I read the whole thing because I was heavy into Spider-Man then. I've always loved Spider-Man as a character. He's just too expensive these days to collect because it's just too big a catalog, so I don't.
It's not entirely true. There's only really only if you're considering going back to the beginning on ASM is an issue.
I still pick up miniseries.
If you pick up anything, most of the books after 150 are, or even after 100, there's a handful in there that are expensive, but for the most part, they're not bad. And of course, if you want to go spectacular or web or friendly or any of the other Spider-Man titles, not a problem, man.
And I used to have the whole web of Spider-Man run back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, Web of Spider-Man's got two moderately pricey issues, right? Number 1 and the first Tombstone. Other than that,
covers.
Other Web of Tombstone is not a banger cover.
No, it's not that soon. No, that soon series has tons of banger covers.
Right. But I mean, essentially, that aside from that, I mean, the first, when we say they're pricey, I mean, a 9.8 Web of Spider-Man number 1 costs you around $100, and the first Tombstone costs you about 125. For a 9.6, I think a 9.8 maybe pushes 200. But
yeah,
I mean,
Spectacular ended up having more keys in it, like first White Tiger and first Spot, stuff like that. Yeah. But still, not super expensive. But what killed me with the Clone Saga, what really took me out of which really made me mad, and I couldn't read Spider-Man for a while after that, was slapping all of comicdom in the face and saying that Peter Parker was a clone from the 60s. I'm like, that's just so stupid. That just pissed me off so much I couldn't read again for that. Like, don't tell me a character we followed.
I literally sold every book I had and walked away from comics until I had kids, until I had kids. I mean,
So how do you guys feel about the summer being the entire summer is nothing but Venomverse? Venom's crossing over with everything. There's going to be tons of Venom's new symbiote books and everything. It's basically
you know
this.
What I feel about Venom.
It's the summer of symbiotes for Marvel is what they're doing.
Good for them. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy them.
Right.
I'm just curious on your thoughts because
right now it's been the spring of goblins, and I'm not buying all the goblin books that are out either.
Red Goblin's really good, by the way.
That's
I'm currently reading that.
The one I'm not reading. I don't care about Normie as a.
It's just cool because he's a younger symbiote in it. It's a different kind of take.
Look, it's gotten blown out of.
Agreed.
It just became. It's like, oh, this did well, so let's just keep doing this, and it's.
Yeah, now we're just a planet of symbiotes in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I'm refocusing away from some of the. I'm still getting some of my modern stuff, but I'm hard right now on focusing on completing like my.
Oh, for sure.
So I can move off of it and focus on and do something else.
Now they're going to get me with the. I hate Venom as a character, but I'm going to get the new Lethal Protector because it's
fire.
The only reason I want it is because of Silver Sable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna Silver Sable in the Wild Pack. I want that character to show up more, so I'm going to support that series for Silver Sable. Hopefully, they'll keep bringing her back.
The first series was very solid as well.
Yeah. So number 4, sir.
So
one in our clone rant.
A lot of people talk about like events in comics and kind of what's their favorite event and what's the most iconic event for them. And I miss this event because, again, I was born in 1990. But going back and reading this and reading the 2015 run as well, I have Secret Wars, and this is the new stand. It's the Error version with the blue Galactus. They're all this version. I don't think I've ever seen a regular one.
Printing is regular.
Printing, yeah. Right. But that book and cover is just absolutely iconic to me. That whole series is iconic. The 2015 series that they did was iconic to me. I just recently went back and read that, and I am so excited for when Marvel finally ties up everything with the Secret Wars event.
Yeah, and that book, even though it's just the only significance of that is it's the number 1 in the series, and that book's even become like an $80-$100 book.
I think I got this one for like 30. Yeah. I think I got this one for like $30 or something. But it's super clean though.
Yeah, there's overall the books can be picked up raw readily at cons inexpensively. I mean, I pick up issues for the giveaway bins all the time for $5 or $10 in very fine plus conditions. So
see, here in Rochester, I've seen that book priced up crazy.
Well, really? I'm not saying that people won't try, especially I always love the booth you walk by where they've got, a VF plus near mint minus copy for $95 to $100, and it's labeled error variant.
Yeah,
it's not there. It's not a variant, buddy. It's
right. Just what
trying to take advantage of you. But I mean, that series is literally for
somebody who just got traded.
For a lot of people, that was their either first or major crossover story event that was and is considered one of the best, at least in people's memories. I don't think it's
one of my.
I still pull the trade out every once in a while and reread it too.
Yeah, that's one of my goals for the year. I just need 7 and 8, and then I'll have the full run.
Keep watching all these times, you might win one.
Yeah, for sure.
Not an 8, but
Yeah. and 7's good because that's the first Julia Carpenter. So you get the second Spider-Woman in that one.
And the cover is so amazing on that one too. I love that one.
Number 5, Adam.
So number 5 is my cheat book because it's more than one. But without these 3 books, I wouldn't be reading comics again. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I would not have a passion for doing this again. And that's the Batman 3 Jokers. And I bought all 3 of these at the same time. My mom lives in Kentucky, and I walked into a random comic shop in Cincinnati because I was like, you know what? It was the first time visiting her when she moved down there a few years ago. and she lives on the top of a mountain. She owns like 80 acres with her husband. And I was like, well, I'm not going to have an Xbox. I'm not going to have Wi-Fi. And I was just, just going down there to visit. And when it was late night, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop at a comic store on the way just to get just to check it out. Because even before reading comics, I was still following like Gem Mint, Comic Tom, Comic Book Corner 2.0, and staying up to date with comics like a year or two before even reading them. So I knew what was going on. So I went in there, saw those 3 books, read those, and it's just taken off from there. And it's now a burning lifelong passion for me because of those 3 books.
Now, had you ever read Killing Joke before that?
No, well, no. This is the Batman 3 Jokers. I've never read Killing Joke or anything. So this was just the 1, 2, and 3 when they had the 3 Jokers storyline.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. But no, I've never read Killing Joke. I've watched the animation; it's amazing. But it was the covers for me. I was like, you know what? The covers were cool. The artwork was cool. They're thicker like a trade.
Oh
so
yeah, they were extra large, square bound. They were great. They sold 1 billion covers. They had a lot of it. They sucked us all in. It was a good enough story. It was fun.
And people that graded loved them because you had a legit chance of getting a 9.9 on some of those covers.
I was fighting to try to get 9.8s on my 1 in 100s because those all black. The square bound wasn't the issue. The whole back is all black, and so especially when you got the problem was like for me, like I got the 1 in 100s for all 3. The problem is that there's so few of them that you couldn't cherry pick the ones that came into the store, and they came in the box, and man, if they got rubbed around, it just sucked.
I seen
I saw a lot of 9.9s of those too.
Yeah,
I've seen that before too. I just seen Switch Comics ask what part of Kentucky. It's outside Covington.
Yeah, no, I ended up with I got all 3 of them sent in for their triple signing event that they had. And so all 3 of mine got triple signed, but
nice.
2 of them came back 9.8s and 1 came back a 9.6, unfortunately.
But that book just ignited everything, and like my childhood, just my love of comics, my love of storytelling, my love of art. Just reading that, and as soon as I came back from Kentucky that week, I started a pull list, and
That's awesome.
It's never stopped.
Nice. Now, Batman. So Batman got you back into it. Are you still reading Batman or?
Yeah, dude. I love the current Batman run. When I first got back into it, it was these 3 DC books, and then I was mainly heavily reading like Thor, and it was like when X of Swords was going on and stuff like that. And I didn't recently start reading heavily DC until kind of the end of last year when Chip Zdarsky took over for Batman. But now I have Flash, I have all the Superman books, I'm gonna have Green Lantern on my pull list. So I'm really heavily trying to read more DC just to further my knowledge, of course.
Nice.
That's funny. Right. When I got back in heavily into comics, Batman was my gateway again. It was the new 52 Batman Court of Owls I picked up, and I was just like, oh, holy cow, this is so good, and that just sucked me in.
I just was at Ollie's and bought 1 and 2 of Court of Owls.
No reads, man. You're gonna love that if you haven't read it already.
I haven't. No, I haven't. I have a big stack I have Superman Unchained too. I need to read. So
excellent.
Yeah, before today's era where it's just so Joker focused. All right,
what's great is some of the stuff that happens in the first 25 issues there are really of that run of New 52 are starting to really kind of some of those elements are coming back up in the stories. I mean, all that stuff with you were talking about, you're really enjoying the new stories and stuff, the stuff that's going on with Bluebird and whatnot. That's all she comes out of that New 52 run.
I just played Gotham Knights it's a game, and the whole story is about the Court of Owls, so that's what piqued my interest. Gaming gatewayed me into that, and now it's like, okay, now I want to read the whole backstory of Court of Owls and get into that. So
yeah, a lot of people commenting that they love Court of Owls.
Nice.
Yeah, I will say, it was the Batman run was good up to about until they made Batman disappear and had Jim Gordon be Batman. It got really kind of off the rails.
Well, and that to me, that kind of cheapens the Batman character, because if just this detective that Batman always had to help, can all of a sudden, take over the mantle and be come on.
In a mech suit, though.
Right.
He couldn't do it by himself. He had to wear a mech suit in a freaking giant semi-support vehicle. I mean, it was, and even then, he wasn't a very good Batman.
God.
I just always hate when someone else takes up the mantle of our heroes. I've never cared for that in any.
I don't. I agree. I agree.
Buddy. That's true. It's funny. The Bat Buddy, because he had these really tall freaking mech ears, like so many mech suits do.
That's probably why the new Flash movie, the Batmechs, have such huge ears to pay homage to that. Maybe.
Well, that would be more of if you go back to around late 400s, Batman, you'll see the freaking ears on the cowl. Insanely huge. At one point, I think somebody makes some joke like there's something where they said they made it into like where they were projectiles or something, because it's
wild.
Like, how does he even enter a room? Right? You can't.
As I say, you could just spear somebody with them at that point.
All right, number 6, sir.
So I talk about most of my collecting. I've only have a few books that I've bought online or off eBay, like my Spawn slab over here. So I very pride myself on finding most of my books in the wild. I love the thrill of hunting for a book, finding it, and getting a good deal. It's just something about that. So this is Spawn number 70. And just off the rip, it's in a hard case, so sorry for the glare. But just off the rip, it's just a regular Spawn, but it's a newsstand, and in the image with Spawns right around 70, kind of like 75, they stopped and switched over. So this one I picked up for $5, and I just got an offer on Instagram because somebody saw one of my clips. He offered me $275 for it. I said no, because this is one of my favorite books in my collection. Right. But I think there's only been like 1 or 2 of these ever slabbed or anything. I'm not going to get it slabbed, but I'm going to hold on to it, and it's all black, and I think it would be perfect to have a SIG, like a Todd McFarland signature right across there.
Get that silver or gold.
It's got to be in that yellow green.
Ooh,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So it just sums up my love of hunting and finding books in the wild, and having that big score. So. And I don't resell any of my books, so I just love always finding things in the wild. It's fun for me.
Right. I like finding things in the wild too, but I am also a eBay and whatnot whore. I will fully admit it. I have
at some point I'm going to be at that. You guys are just at that point.
And if I can't find it, I'm going to find it.
Right. That's how I'm going to be at my Spawn.
It's a different kind of hunt. It becomes
exactly.
Like, yes, it's there, but can I find it at the right price? That becomes the new hunt.
And for as overpriced as whatnot can be on for certain people you follow, there's other people that you follow like that you can get books
killer deals.
Like,
it's an addiction for me.
One of my favorite keys for $20, and it's an $80 book all day.
It's issue 70, Matt, and it's the newsstand variant. That's why it makes it so significant.
And just a tough cover to have in good condition too.
It is. It's I'd probably say it's like a 9.2, 9.4, honestly.
Yeah, that is very true, Switch.
Yeah, it seems like my feed is filled up with more people selling comics on IG these days than it is people just showing off their stuff.
So this Spawn slab, like I said, I don't care about grades or anything. I like to just own something. Cole randomly messaged me while I was at work, and he's like, "Hey, dude, eBay auction ends in 2 minutes. Look at the price on the Spawn." I looked at it, hit bid, and it sold like that quick. And that was my first ever purchase, and that was how easy it was.
Wow. You know what? And it comes out of the wallet just as easy too.
Mm-hmm. Right. Facts. Big facts.
All right, number 7, Adam.
Now, you got Matt diving into the bins now to go check to see if his is a newsstand.
Oh, dude, there's
Matt
yes, sir.
Gave Matt Woods newsstand envy.
So now we're kind of back
at the hunt for one if he doesn't have it.
We're at the point where I'm making YouTube videos again. I got this last year, but this is the first slab I ever bought. So this is always going to hold the most significance for me.
Your first, baby.
And it is the Venom Lethal Protector 9.2. I had to get it. It was just an iconic cover as a kid, and iconic cover. I'm a huge symbiote guy, and as soon as I saw this, I was like, man, I have to have it. So.
For the 90s, it is one of those books. It was just kind of like the quintessential
Mm-hmm.
book covers that came out in that time.
Yes, agreed. There's so many different versions of it. I want the gold one as well.
There's a gold, there's the gold, and then there's the black
that
error.
really rare black one.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was just the red. The red is funny. Is like it's such a great. But there's so many of them out there that this book, it doesn't matter how desirable this book is. You can always pick this book up affordably. But yet anybody who likes anything to do with Spider-Man probably has at least one copy, if not more, in their PC of that book.
I've always been Spider-Man villains first and foremost over Spider-Man and the actual heroes.
I mean, I think I'm down to 5 copies now. I moved a few copies, but I think I'm down to 5.
Damn, man. You look anything from like 70 to like 125, bro. If you have any of those newsies, they're hitters for sure.
No, Matt Woods will be on the search now. You just gave him something to look for.
Yeah, dude. Those, they're rare.
Matt needed a comic mission, and he just got one.
Happy to help you, good sir.
Number 8, Adam.
So, again, we're at the point where I'm making YouTube videos and stuff. And this comic itself, it is Immortal X-Men number 4. The cover holds no significance. The book itself holds no significance. But this is my first AOK from being on Phil's show, Philtastic, Comics and Art. That was the first live I ever did, was his 7-minute stories. And for being on the show, he sent me this book and another one. But I wanted to show this book off. So any AOKs I ever get or anything like that, I always keep. I still have the notes and everything like that. But that book holds super special meaning to me because he went out of his way to think of me and to send me that book. So.
And you never go wrong with an Emma Frost.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I picked that one over the other one, because the other one's a Monica Rambeau, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not that much of a fan of her, but you can never go wrong with Emma Frost.
All right, number 9.
So I had to pick this one out in honor of you guys as well. And I love this book because this is something if I saw in the wild, I would never purchase it. It was something I won off of Brian LCS's his 1K giveaway, but it is the history involved in this book. And it is F Troop, 12 Center from 1966. And I kept it in the Mylar because I don't want to ever open it and touch it or anything.
Right.
But I looked up, and again, I don't sell books or anything like this. And I looked up, it almost looks completely mint to me. I'm not a grader or anything, but I looked up a couple eBay purchases, and I think it was like a $500 or $600 book in like a 9.6 or 9.8.
Wow. Oh, in a 9.6 or 9.8, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but like 9.2s were like $300-$400 or something.
Yeah,
it's just. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say near mint on those 50s, 60s books. You usually don't get the Dell books were typically read very, very heavily.
Right.
So usually you're going to see it's not uncommon there to see a lot of mid grades, 3 to 6.
It's just the history behind that. Just holding this in my hand, because like I said, if I was at a comic shop, I would never buy it because it's just something I collect. I'm very niche and very OCD with what I collect. But just owning this, it makes me very proud to have that in my collection and something I'll forever keep.
Well, it's always nice to have a couple old books in the collection just for the history of them.
Well, it's also sometimes how you get them. I mean, I've got one Golden Age book in my collection that I never would have bought. It's a Roy Rogers book. I'm not a Roy Rogers book guy, whatever else, but it was an AOK that came from somebody. So I've continued to hold on to it because it was somebody thought enough to send you something.
And then it took me down the rabbit hole of I've never heard of Dell or really F Troop or anything. So then I went down the rabbit hole of doing the research and learning the history about the book and where it's from and all that. So that's what I'm a sponge.
Let me introduce you to some painted cover science fiction covers from Dell, my friend.
I think I've seen a couple of yours. I don't know on your shorts, but again, I'm just not very familiar with it. And when it comes to anything comic knowledge, I'll be the first to admit that I don't know, but I will also be the first to admit that
you've seen the Magnus Robot Fighter painted covers. Those are Dell books.
I've never even seen those, and now I have. If I see one of those covers out and they're cheap for an affordable price, I'll go out of my way to buy them because they're gorgeous, dope covers. I love those.
Yeah,
some of the
Flash Gordons, those are the Dell 4 colors.
All right, so number 10.
So number 10, out of every book in my collection, this is probably hands down my favorite cover. It's in my slab. I pulled it out of my slab one. Hopefully it gets a 9.8, or I'm going to be
Pulled it
pretty
out of the
disappointed.
slab.
Or my like slab short box that I want to get short box. But this is DC versus Vampires number 8. This is the Barbara Gordon cover from Nathan Serzi. And this is hands down probably my favorite cover in my collection. Again, being a horror guy. One. And it was one of my it was probably my favorite read from a horror guy.
Oh, horror guy. Okay.
I am a horror guy, but back in my early 20s. But it's something about this.
This is my favorite cover because I'm a horror guy. And it's like, are you saying that Barbara Gordon's a whore? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, Trev knew that book was coming. I've showed it off pretty much in every cover challenge video.
It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, I love it.
And Barbara Gordon will always be my favorite Batgirl.
I love
Cassandra Cain's great too. I like Cassandra Cain a lot, but Barbara Gordon.
Batgirl. Sorry, deal with it.
I love Barbara Gordon as well.
Yeah, Tony saying that cover is hot. Sensei.
Yeah, he did. He did Supergirl and Harley. He did a bunch of different ones on that, but it's that one that stands out hands down for me.
All right, now number 11 with a personal story attached.
So, my son is 12 years old. He's into Marvel. He loves going to see the movies and stuff like that. But I don't really talk about him too much. I don't show him off in Instagram and stuff because, like I said, family's private kind of for me and stuff like that. Right. So he's really into baseball. He's in 2 baseball leagues. He's in a traveling league and his school league. It's his passion. It's his life. And he doesn't really read comics or anything. But I think this is when he was 5 or 6. I can't remember. We were at a flea market. And he was with my mom. My mom went off with him. It was January 11th. It was my birthday. And my son came back with this. What issue is this? This is, I don't even know, SpiderMan number 10, Green Goblin, from July 1996. And this was the one comic that my son dug through a box, picked out, and gave me for a birthday present.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's the first time he ever really did that. Because like I said, he's not really into comics or anything like that. But that was the one time where he went out of his way. He saw the Hulk on it. He saw Spider-Man on it. So he picked that up, brought it to me, and he's like, "Here, Dad, happy birthday." My mom gave him a couple bucks for it. So it's not an expensive book or anything, but it's something I'm going to eventually get slabbed and hold on forever for.
Right. I slab tons of books that don't have any value except to me.
Yep, me too.
And Rob will tell you, that's really the only criteria you need is you just need to love it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of books that I just think are dope covers that I just want to get slabbed.
Here you go. You got Manny letting you know that's a heroic Phil Urich Green Goblin.
I was gonna say he would be probably the first one to go to in some of those random Goblin stories. It's murder, it's massacre and murder world, which is huge for me because I love anything arcade and anything murder world.
Nice. I know. If they did a live action arcade, they could really make that kind of fun.
That'd be crazy. The newest series was great. I just wish it wasn't issue 1s every time because it was like Murder World Wolverine, Murder World Moon Knight, right. Murder World Avengers, and each time it was an issue 1, but the story was a continuous and it was great.
Yeah, I just imagine because I used to like when Spider-Man would get trapped with the X-Men with Murder World.
Oh yeah, on the pinball machine.
Oh yeah, what it would look like on the big screen with them, this giant arcade thing, the giant silver balls coming at them, and the paddles and all this stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It would just be fun. But all right, so we're gonna get to your spec pick, Adam.
So spec pick. I'm not a spec guy at all, but if I had to spec on anything, it is
I got a question real quick. Gary, has anybody come on this show and ever said, "Well, I'm a spec guy"?
I couldn't pick out of my entire short box.
Off with, I'm not really a spec guy.
Yeah, hang on. Let me dig through all my long boxes. They're nothing but spec books.
I think that's everybody's legal disclaimer that if you buy this book based on what I said and it doesn't pay out for you, well, tough squat.
Right.
So right off the rip, this book is always weird to me because of the back cover. You think it's all splotchy, but that's just part of the cover, so it's really weird. But again, Secret Wars is kind of my end game for Marvel, and they can't do Secret Wars without showing off God Emperor Doom. So that is my spec book. This is the first appearance of God Emperor Doom. And Dr. Doom's probably top 3 favorite villains in the Marvel Universe. He's not on the cover, but he appears right. I don't know. I haven't flipped through this book in a while. Hang on.
But he's in there.
Yes, sir. He is in here. He's right here. God Emperor Doom.
Like Prego, it's in there.
And so for me, this is a spec book, but I also don't see them. If they do God Emperor Doom in the Marvel Universe, he's hands down, he can just kill everybody. He's one of the most powerful beings ever. They didn't even kill him in the issues. They basically just stole his powers from him. But seeing in what was it? Man, what movie was that? With the dude, what was it? It was Doctor Strange that had the
multiverse. Yep.
Yeah, that had the Doom Gates in it with Mr. Fantastic. Was that movie? Yeah. So how Mr. Fantastic entered that room of heroes or whatever was from a Doom Gate, and that like portal or whatever. So the only person that has Doom Gates is the God Emperor Doom like that. So that's my long goal spec book. I was going to bring Chasm, but I went with this one.
Doom's a great character, and I liked the first 2 Fantastic Four movies, even though other people crap on them.
Right.
I did not. The thing I didn't like about those movies was Doom.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I didn't like the third movie that they did at FF. I thought it was the worst one. The one that was supposed to be like the relaunch was
right. But at the end of the day,
they haven't got Doom right yet. They always give him electrical powers. He doesn't have electrical powers. Stop making him a mutant.
Agreed. At the end of the day, my entire Spawn collection is my long goal spec picks, though. Any Spawn book I buy is spec because, like I said, my long life goal is to have every issue of Spawn raw. That's my life goal. If it happens, hopefully it happens. But at the end of the day, if they make a Spawn movie, that means that collection goes through the roof, and my son can hope.
Remember, there's like 2.7 million copies.
Right. But I'm saying like the hard ones to find and stuff like that. That's the meat to the
Spawn movie right now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But it needs to release before I die. So
he's released before you die, and there needs to be a Spawn comic book eating virus that is released into the wild. and your collection is one of the few that gets left intact.
Well, it's all the newsstands, and like once you get into like the short print runs, like I'm getting to the point where just a single issue of Spawn is anywhere from $50 to $200, and that's just one issue of Spawn.
I mean, look at ASM 300 and Wolverine #1. Those are books that are worth way more than they probably should be, considering how many copies exist out there.
I could have brought my Spawn 300 homage. That's homaging that.
And Izzyverse, I have a rare Spawn book. There you go. It must. I bet it's that. I know which one I think he's talking about.
The first time I ever heard anybody start talking about the difference between talking about like that this is a newsstand copy, like it was worth more, was with Spawn. It was like people who wanted Spawn #1 to somehow be worth something because there were so many out there, went looking for some reason to find some sub-variant to make it worth more. And that's the first time I ever heard anybody start discussing, well, this is a newsstand variant instead of the regular, so it's rarer. And then all of a sudden that became like this thing to the point where people say, well, it's a newsstand variant. Well, yeah, but that's from 1978.
And now they're doing it with, since there's not newsstand ones anymore, they're doing that with printings now.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this was the third printing. Yeah, it means you missed out twice. Yeah,
exactly.
But sometimes now the second or third printing's worth more than the first printing because they're short printed.
They're not. It's you missed out.
Psychological.
Twice.
Yeah.
You missed out twice. It's your consolation prize. The fact that you might find some moron to pay more for it doesn't mean that it's really should be worth anything more. If it needed to go to 3, 4, 5, 6 printings, then that first one really is something because so many people wanted it and they all missed out on the first printing.
I agree with Izzy saying like newsstands aren't variants, because for me, I'm buying as long as I have, if it's in issue 50, if I don't have it, I don't care if it's a newsstand or not. If I don't have it, I'm gonna buy it just to fill
Newsstands
that
aren't
run.
variants. I got news for you guys. UK pricing, Canadian pricing, they're not. Now, if it's a book that was released as a 35-cent book or a 30-cent book, and there's a 35-cent variant that was done in a test market, then okay, I could see that. But to me, yeah, all this other stuff is that's just regional different. It's still the same book. It's not different.
Right.
It's people trying to slice the pie smaller in order to try to make an artificial increase in value on these other things. What about third printing? Again, I told you it's your consolation prize for missing out on the first printing.
Now, if you really want to stir up an argument, what about cameos versus a first printing or a first appearance?
Now, this one I disagree with Matt on. I was just going to bring it up. Mark II. So there's an ad inserted to it. Big deal. Why is it more money because you inserted it?
I mean, it might be something. So you're into collecting those, or you were in the military. I can understand the desirability because of that. But again, yeah, I don't think it's any more valuable because it's there. But
isn't it harder to have like a 9.8 Mark Jewelers than a 9.8 regular copy though?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know.
Because I just heard people don't really press or clean or like press Mark Jewelers books.
Well, probably with what you have it encapsulated, you can't tell that it's a Mark Jeweler insert except for the label that if they put it on the label or not, right? But as far as I don't even remember what I was just about to respond to.
Cameos and first appearances.
Cameos and first appearance. Look, a cameo, if somebody's first cameo appearance is still their first appearance. Now, the fact that you want to sit there and say that it was a minor appearance, that's fine. And I do have my own personal definition for that. And it applies in most cases. But, there's things should be explained clearly, right? So if a cameo, your first appearance in Cameo, it doesn't mean it's not the first appearance. It may not be as desirable because the person's only in the one panel and doesn't matter, right? If somebody appears for one panel or one page and they don't have any significant role, you could remove them from that book and it would not significantly affect the story, then I can understand why that may not be as desirable as the next appearance where they're throughout it and have a significant impact. That's one scenario that people contend with, right? The other scenario that you contend with is in the earlier days where distribution was different from multiple distributors and whatnot, where you have books that were released before another book, but wasn't intended to be in the story, right? Such as the Gambit issue. So there you have the first released issue, and then you have an issue that was the first in the story chronological order, right? And those should be clearer explained. And I don't think that the lame description of saying that this is a cameo when it's not really a cameo, because that's not correct. It is instead, it's the first appearance that was released. It just wasn't the first appearance chronologically in the overarching story of that character.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Things like that need to be a lot more clear when it comes down to the fine tuning of things.
Right. And then, but as far as which one's more valuable, that really comes down to the collector and what the collector wants. If the collector is really into, the most important to me thing is their actual very first time they ever show up in comic books, then great. You're going to get some great values out there because some people don't value that book as high as, say, the full appearance where they have their first significant appearance, or maybe they appear on the cover and stuff, in which case that's fine if you depend on what you want. A lot of so
what's the one book on X-Men? I think it's the first Archangel where you don't even see him, or you just see like a glimpse of him for the first like couple times before he's
the cover one pops.
Well,
right
changes too, right? So take ASM 298, 299, 300. When I was early in collecting, 298 was considered the first cameo, even though you don't actually see the full body. You only saw like the hand covered and thing. And then 299 was the first appearance of Venom. And then 300 was the first cover appearance, or first full appearance, not even cover appearance, just first full appearance. Well, Now they go, no, $298 doesn't even, it's just
matter.
a book. $299's first cameo and $300. These things change all the time over time. The best thing you can do as a collector is, if you really are that interested in that character, just get them all.
Get them all. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Then
Enjoy your character.
And it's a moot point. Yeah.
See, and they did that with Red Sonja too, with Conan 23 and 24. She's not in the cover. It's a cover for a book, a story that was supposed to be in an issue, but it got delayed. And then all of a sudden, 24 pops because it's her first cover appearance. But she is from page 1 to the final page in 23 and completely in that story as an active character, the whole thing. But 24 is more coveted because that's her first cover appearance. And to me, it's one of the best covers in comics history, but
yeah. So I'll go back real quick just because we're having this good conversation here. So Beefit talks about the newsstand on spinner racks. In an era where there was more direct stuff, and when we're talking about high grade books, I 100% agree with you. Having managed comic books on spinner racks, and people they flip through them because they put them, jam them in, and all kinds of other stuff. I 100% agree with you that a high grade book that may be a thing. Now, does it make it still a different variant? I don't necessarily think it is. To me personally, to some collector, it may be, and that's fine. Again, everybody collects their own way, and that's the great thing about this. And from that aspect, a high grade book, sure, it may carry a premium for that reason. But when I start seeing people bust out like a 5.0 book and say, well, but this is a newsie and somehow it's worth more, it's like, why is it worth more? Is it's already got the damage and everything else. So, but again, the eyes at the end of the day, when it comes to collecting, it's what you want to collect, not what somebody else tells you. It's a price that you're willing to pay for that book, not even necessarily what some pundits telling you the book should be worth or whatever. It's what's it worth to you? What are you willing to pay? And how much is that person who's willing to sell it willing to give it up for? That's all that matters at the end of the day.
I'd go insane if I was the type of collector that I had to have every issue of Spawn and every newsstand issue, or like both variants. I'd go insane. There's no way I could do that.
Well, that's why I highlighted this. So I was going to ask you, because he brought it up. Do you have, or do you actively seek out the Spawn Malibu Sun?
That's one of my top wants for sure. I want that more than anything. It's one of that and the first Gunslinger are like two of my top Spawn books graded. Because Gunslinger is a big boy book. That's like a $700-800 book sometimes. It just depends where you see it. But that's like one of my, when it comes to Spawn, that's like the Grail of Grails to me. Because Gunslinger for me, if you had to pick a favorite character in any comic book, Gunslinger's hands down my favorite character, just because he's kind of the weakest Spawn. And every time he uses bullets, he sacrifices this part of himself. And that's kind of how I feel with my life. I've always tried to kind of go out of my way to kind of look out for other people and try and make them happy and stuff. So Gunslinger always resonated with me as a character.
There you go. So
that's nasty.
Yeah. So he's asking you, how attached to your kidneys are you? Ready for you.
I mean, I'm more attached to my kidneys, and I've already reproduced, so I can lose a testicle for sure, bro.
There you go.
What a slightly used testicle.
Yeah, I can keep one, and I'll still be good, right?
Well, say the same thing about your kidney too.
Yeah, but like for example, I'm like, for me, I'm on the lookout for really obscure books. Not really obscure, but like for me as a Spawn collector, one of my big books I want this year is the first appearance of Lobo. That's something I'm on the lookout though. Mega Man. I want a Turok. I want a Turok 9.8. I'm dying for a Turok 9.8. It's a very insignificant book, but for me, I love it. Yeah, I want that. Scotty, he has the Wizard Spawn cover. That's another one.
You're talking about the Valiant Turok.
The Valiant Turok. Yep, the original 9.8 that everybody has 100
the original.
Of them. Oh yeah, not the original. I'm sorry. I always forget. Yes, I always forget of the original painted.
The original Turok Son of Stone. Dell. Back to your Dell.
Yeah, yep. But I want the Valiant, just a 9.8. I've seen there was even some. I was looking on eBay. There's a bunch that were like quadruple signed.
It is a nice cover.
It's just that iconic book in the comic culture. It's just kind of that joke book or whatever. But at the end of the day, for me, it resonates a lot because I'm a gamer and I used to play Turok on the N64 a lot. So I'm always on the lookout for just not like super Grail books to everybody, but for me, a Grail book is a Grail book to the individual person.
Ironically, as much as Turok gets grief from people, what book I think of in the same vein is SpiderMan issue 1, the McFarland SpiderMan issue 1.
I have 3 of them.
I've got rid of a bunch of copies, and I think I'm down to 12 or 15 copies. It's and probably 12 or 15 of the greens, and probably like 8 of the black.
I was just getting ready to say I always check for the colors because not everybody knows about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a polybag ones. I mean, there's just so many of them and so prolific. I mean, it's a cool cover, obviously, because it's been homaged so many damn times.
Like damn, that cover?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is a dime a dozen, and it's so hilarious to me that it doesn't get. I guess because it's McFarland, it doesn't get.
I love it
like a Turok.
I was thinking that too, Manny, because Jason is Southern Comic Geek is the biggest Valiant guy I know.
Yeah.
Another book, NFL Pro or Super Pro #1. I want that in a 9.8 and stuff like that. Just those random
Super Pro special too.
Oh, good, excellent,
nice. Well, Adam, great show, man. Great books.
Honored to be here, man.
Fun discussion afterwards.
From you,
of course.
A few I didn't expect from you, which was nice.
Had to try. I knew I had to kind of go out of the wheelhouse just a little bit.
Yeah, the F Troop caught me by the biggest surprise.
Nice.
And
it was an honor.
The Barbara Gordon too. I didn't know about.
Love it. That's like I said, that's probably one of my favorite covers in my collection.
Yeah. Yes. You have to get the Super Pro before Fantasy.
Yes. I 100% know that.
But yeah, Super Pro is just one of those cheeseball fun things.
Right.
Another piece of like ridiculous comic history, right? But I want to thank my co-host Rob. Rob, before we sign off, what's coming up for you this week?
Oh, Thursday, we got a video dropping, a CBCS signature series unboxing, a bunch of stuff coming back from getting verified signatures and signings. And then I think it was like only out for like 7 months or something. So, and then Saturday we'll have D-Runk Comics on. So that'll be a good time there on Only Slabs. Chance for people to win some stuff. And if I could just throw out a side shout out, go check out Dr. Von Hoot's video he dropped today. You'll see he won on Only Slabs, shipped out some stuff to him along with some AOK stuff to him. And he was also the winner of the Henchman thank you gift last month. And so both he and the Magic Badger got some Henchman shirts and whatnot. So great little video. Go check it out.
And coming up next, watch this Saturday because Stephanie and I are doing our part 2 of our Conan art portfolio review. The first one went great. It's been racking up the views, tons of great comments. We appreciate everybody that tuned in to watch us live. So it's going to be a 6-part series. We got 5 more parts left, and then we're brewing up something else we're going to do together. This Thursday, we have Brian and Marcus on In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects discussing this year's CBCS Awards. What's new? What's different? What can you guys expect? And just whatever new information is out there about it. And then next week on the 10-1-1, we have C. Bizzle himself doing his 10 1-in-1 book. So it's going to be a lot of fun, his 12 that he's bringing. So can't wait to actually sit down and talk to him. I haven't had a chance yet to have a conversation with this gentleman. So that is going to be a ton of fun for me. And but that's what we got coming up. So Adam, thank you for being on the show. And what's coming up for you, sir?
So for me, I still have like 2 weeks worth of hauls I have to do. The past week I was doing a lot of training at work with some new employees and stuff. So I just kind of slowed down on the uploads, just kind of give myself kind of that mental break for the day. I was still doing my shorts. I always have my Friday Positivity, always got my Sunday lives right before Matt Wood's show. But this week, tomorrow, I'm going to be filming and editing. So I'm going to get back on track with all that. And then I got a giveaway win from, Nick's not Nick's Kicks and Comics, but Nick the comic nerd is sitting right here. And then I also, I got something from Roscoe. I got one of his art prints that's coming in the mail. And then I purchased the exclusive Von Hoot comic that he was selling. So I'll be showing that off. So I'm waiting for all that to come. Like I said, just took a little bit of a mental break for a few days, dealing with some car issues, which I think is good to go. Changed my transmission fluid, changed my filter. I'm good with that.
Sometimes you need that mental break. There's times I'll take you to
just needed a couple days just to kind of step back and not kind of stress myself with like, oh, I gotta, as soon as I get home from work, I gotta eat and I gotta record and I gotta edit and stuff like that. So I just kind of took a step break, and it was WrestleMania weekend. So
nice. All right, and last, what we like to do, I want to thank every single person in the chat. We had a fantastic chat tonight. Thank you all for showing up to support my co-host, my guest, and the channel itself. Make sure you check out their links in the description below. And if you're not subbed to these fine gentlemen, and if you're catching this on Rewind, thank you. Sub them up and go hit their notification bells and see what great content they got coming your way. And until next time, keep it casual.